How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis and we've got a new update from the old school RuneScape team. This is experience drops, Jad Pet and Slayer. It's a big week for old school with the addition of experience trackers and drops. Tracking your progress and setting goals has never been as easy. They've also got the addition of the unlockable tzhaar and Jad tasks alongside the release of tzhaar Jad, which is the Jad Pet. So starting off with experience drops and tracker. Experience drops are here with a huge number of features for all of your experience tracking needs. If you have minimap orbs enabled, you will notice the addition of an experience button. Clicking this will display an experience tracker on your screen. You can right click the orb and select setup to be given a whole wide selection of different settings for your experience tracker and drops. These settings include position, size and duration. The position and size options allow you to select where on screen you would like the experience dropper to appear and how large it is. Setting the duration to permanent will cause the experience tracker to be constantly visible. Setting it to anything else will cause the experience tracker to appear whenever you gain experience and disappear after the selected period of time. There's also goals, progress bar and a counter. It's possible to set an experience or level goal for any skill, including total level and experience. Once you've chosen a goal, you can choose to enable the progress bar in order to keep up to date on how close you are to your goal. The progress bar allows you to choose which skill you'd like to display your progress bar for, if any. This will add a small bar to the bottom of your experience tracker that shows your progress towards any goals you set for a skill. The counter option allows you to decide which skills you would like to display experience for. Options for total experience and the skill that you've most recently trained are included alongside an option for each individual skill. Finishing off the experience drops and tracker, we've got colour and grouping. The colour option allows you to change the colour of experience drops to make them easier to read on any background. Enabling the group option will cause experience gained at the same time in multiple skills to appear in a single experience drop with multiple skill icons rather than several experience drops. As we can see on the left, we've got group enabled, and it shows each of the icons you've gained experience in with a total of all the experience you've gained. Whereas on the right, we've got group disabled, and it shows each individual skill with the experience gained. Next, we've got tzhaar, Slayer assignment, and Jad task. You can now unlock tzhaar monsters as potential Slayer assignment for the low cost of 100 Slayer reward points. Both Neve and Jorodel will be able to assign tzhaar as a task. If you receive a tzhaar task and do not have a Slayer partner, you'll be given the option to take on the challenge of defeating tzhaar Jad instead of measly tzhaar. If you succeed in the fight cave and take down tzhaar Jad, you'll receive a bonus of 25,000 Slayer experience, in addition to the experience gained throughout the cave. Another small Jad related tweak they've made this week is tzhaar Jad kills are now tracked on the boss log found on the Ring of Wealth. Next, tzhaar Jad. Have you ever been midway through a tzhaar Jad kill and thought, boy, I'd love one of these following me around all day? Well, if you have, it's your lucky day. Players who kill tzhaar Jad now have a slim chance of receiving a Jad pet, tzhaar Jad. If you're on a tzhaar Jad Slayer task, when you kill Jad, you'll have an increased chance of receiving a Jad pet. You can get another shot at getting yourself a tzhaar Jad by talking to tzhaar Mejjal just outside of the fire cave and sacrificing a fire cape. So if you've been stockpiling fire capes, then it might be a little easier to get that tzhaar Jad. Moving on, we've got the Grand Exchange web pages. The old school Grand Exchange web pages are here. You can find all of the prices and trade information you may ever need using the new Grand Exchange section of the old school website. You can find information for every item on the Grand Exchange dating back to the release of the Grand Exchange, as well as information on the number of items traded each day. There's never been a better time to whip out your cash stack and get flipping. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the Grand Exchange pages today. And finally, we've got the other news. Barbarian Assault has now been re-enabled. The spawns of the fight cave creatures will remain the same if you log out and in onto Repeater Wave. It's now possible to be attacked by a player in single combat wilderness zones if you're fighting a Zamorak mage when attempting to dig for your clue. Vishen, which up until recently I was calling Vetion, is no longer able to take damage when lured far away from his docks. The Kandarian diary task to buy a candle from the Cathaby store now cannot be completed by buying a candle from the Taibai Wano store. It's no longer possible to complete the Varrock diary task, make 20 mahogany planks in one go, without having enough coins to pay the sawmill operator. It's no longer possible to search a panning tray inside a jewel at the jewel arena. The Kandarian task, where you have to create a super anti-poison potion from scratch in the Sears and Cathaby area, now includes more than just half of Cathaby. It's no longer possible to waste Uthanki dung attempting to recharge the Camulet when it's already fully charged. The monks of Entrana will now get suitably angry if you attempt to take ghostly robes to the island. Players who intentionally overheat by using the pump too much at Blast Furnace will now be kicked out temporarily. The teleports on the Mauritania legs and Karamja gloves are now consistent orders. Players can now click slightly beyond the visible region of the minimap in fixed mode as they could before resizable mode was released. Iron Men can now unlock the fishing trawler music tracks in order to attain the music cape. Players who hadn't received the music track Sigmund's Showdown despite completing Death to the Dolgushan should now have it unlocked. So that's a seemingly nice update this week. XP drops, tzhaar Slayer, the Jad Pet and Grand Exchange pages all quite big and things that people have been waiting for a while. However, I'm actually not that pleased with this. First of all, let's have a look at the XP drops. Let's be honest, they're not what they polled. If we cast our minds back to content poll 34, we can have a look at what they actually polled for the experience dropper. They said additional features such as being able to track experience gained in specific skills were added to the experience tracker in the future. Such features may be possible somewhere down the line for Old School if the experience tracker passes. But for now, they're offering the experience tracker in the most basic form. A small, toggleable icon next to the minimap that can be clicked to open a small box displaying the experience you've gained since you last reset the timer. The timer can be reset by right-clicking the icon and selecting the right-click option, which is basically what the original XP tracker was in RuneScape. Obviously they mentioned there could be further features down the line, but seeing as it's Old School, that would be pending a poll. Instead, what we got was an XP tracker and dropper that can be positioned pretty much anywhere you like it with any colours you want, the ability to track any skills you want, and they've even given us the ability to add goals, which will give us a progress bar and counter to that goal. Meaning that the Old School team decided that they were either going to just bypass all the poll system and get what they wanted into the game, or they were just completely stupid and just kept adding and adding things that people probably suggested on Twitter and the forums, and they just completely ignored what they actually polled. Yes, we can have that basic XP tracker if we like, but they've given us a whole lot more. I've got no doubt that all of these additional features would have passed. However, it's just annoying that they've added them without it being polled. I think the worst thing is the fact that they've added goals and progress tracking, which to me is a completely different feature altogether. They've just sort of bunged it in with the XP tracker and said, yeah, it's the XP tracker and drops. Also, the Grand Exchange pages have been released a lot sooner than I thought. I was hoping that they were going to poll them, but they haven't. Like I said in my month ahead post, you could argue that it's not really an in-game feature, so therefore, why does it need a poll? However, it is an Old School feature, and it does affect what's happening in-game, so of course it needs to be polled. And finally, let's just have a look at some of these other news features. I feel that they're starting to fix issues which are discussed by the community on things like Twitter, the developer Q&As and Reddit. However, these issues haven't been completely polled. For example, it's now possible to be attacked by a player in single combat wilderness zones if you're fighting a Zamorak mage when attempting to dig for your clue scroll. First time I heard about that was last week's developer Q&A, where someone mentioned it and they were discussing what they could potentially do. One would assume that once they've decided what they would like to do, they would then poll it, and then if it passes, they would add it to the game. But this week, it looks like they've just decided to add it to the game without any poll. Additionally, last week, they did a small change to the way that the God Wars Wilderness Dungeon was working. They changed how the boulder treated damage that's queued on you as you pass through it. Which, personally, I think is a bit strange because it's been in-game like that for such a long time. Again, one could argue that they're just bug fixes, and they're not really implementing anything bad. However, when you look at it like that, you have to question why they poll things like changes to Kriara's magic attack. For a while now, I've been saying that I'm worried about unpolled content in the game, and I feel that today is proof that the Old School team are really trying to get in their own updates whenever they can. What do you think about unpolled changes? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Or don't you really care? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to watch the latest Old School RuneScape news post, please click here for maintenance on the 6th of August. And if you want to know what's happening this month in Old School, click here for August, the month ahead. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the Old School RuneScape updates, dev box and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.